Welcome to Burning Daylight Sports with Matt McKinley, Eric Winkler, and Jake Rehnquist. Join us every Tuesday for betting lines, hot takes, and a whole lot of fun.
Oh boy, we are down to we're down to the national championship in college football. We're past the divisional round. We're to the this is conference championship. This is divisional round. We finished up wild card weekend.
Yeah.
It's been a blur the last couple of weeks. I didn't get to watch a ton of football this weekend, but I did catch a few games, and the ones I caught were really good. And then I don't even know if I'd say I'm disappointed by the Broncos. Like, it just it felt like that was what was going to happen. And
against the Bills,
we were the Boise State of.
We put up a good fight for the first half.
Yeah, we were the Boise State of the NFL playoffs this year. It was a valiant effort for the season. They way overperformed expectations.
Plus or minus 5 wins at the start of the season.
Yeah, I've 5 or 5.5, depending on who you bet with. But yeah, either way, 10-win season. That was killer. I was not expecting that. I was hoping for a 7-9, 9-7 type of year, but or I guess it'd been 9-8, 8-9, right in that area. But 10, and that was like on the high end of expectations.
Yeah.
And so 10 wins, wild card, and was a number 7 seed.
Yes.
I think it was 7 seed.
The Texans or
Texans won their division. So
I'm wondering if I think we might have been lower seed than that then. I think we were the lowest seed in the AFC.
Okay.
Because I think the Texans won their division.
Yeah, Texans won their division.
Yeah. We were the AFC West and the NFC North NFC North are the 2 best divisions in football. Both, like, no other division contributed 3 teams. We had the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Chargers.
Yeah, I think the Steelers were the 8 seed though.
Were they?
I think maybe they were.
It was because the tiebreaker would have been, I don't know. I don't know who we were. How we were.
Either way, that's. I mean, it's kind of semantics at that point because Steelers both ended up and Broncos ended up at 10-7 regular season. Both lost pretty convincingly. It was. And then on the college side, we just got a bunch of all the way around. We kind of just got a bunch of Midwest fucks left in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's the Rust Belt in the Midwest.
Yeah, and like Buffalo, I know they're New York, but they have a Midwest. They have a Midwest feel to them.
They're part of the Rust Belt if you look at them because they're like just north of. If you were looking at it on map, they're north of Philly. On the Great Lakes, like you look at that line for like Ohio, Pennsylvania, it goes up into like the Albany, New York, Buffalo area.
Yeah, and like the Pennsylvania tries to act all snooty like they're East Coast because they got Philadelphia, but like
no.
I mean, if you take Philly and New York City out of the equation, New York and Pennsylvania is basically Midwest.
Yeah, I mean, not geographically, but
no, but like culturally, they're essentially Midwest.
If you take the dick part of Florida and just keep the taint, it's just the South.
That's true. Like the Panhandle is just the South.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's like the further north you go in Florida, the more southern you go.
I know it. It's I've never been down there, but that's what I've always heard is just yeah. It's like the old South, and then Florida man, and then Cuba, essentially.
Yeah. The food gets good, and then it's kind of just like Buffalo Wild Wings and Chili's, and then it's good again.
Oh man, I was talking with my buddy. I was like, that whole food desert is kind of a real thing, because that I-80 corridor, like once you
There ain't shit.
Salt Lake Park, I mean, really, once you get into Wyoming,
There ain't shit.
Green River has a really good Chinese restaurant, and then there's like that Indian truck stop just west of Laramie. But the rest of it, it's just your standard fast food, or like a burger and chicken tenders type of place. That's kind of all there is. But I mean, yeah, it's you get off the beaten path, you get some really good really good beef and lamb in Wyoming.
Yeah. Well, that's all. You've got potatoes that grow pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
You've got game, and that's it. I mean, if you don't live in Laramie, we don't have shit either.
Yeah, it's not as bad because being a college town.
Right, you have to have some good bars and stuff. But like in terms of, we have a really good Indian restaurant.
Nice.
That's, I mean, decent Thai, but that's like anything else. Mexican food, I don't even count that as not normal.
It's funny how the waves of stuff happen, because I was reading a book on Levon Helm of the band, and he grew up in Arkansas, like in the Delta, and he came up in the music scene in the 50s, and he moved up with like Conway Twitty of all people to upstate New York, because they had a rockabilly scene up there. And that was the first time he'd ever had a pizza, was and he was like 18, 20 years old, some shit like that. But like then now pizza's just commonplace everywhere in America. Every little town, even in like the middle of Kansas, has a Chinese food restaurant.
They're not always good, but they're
usually not bad.
In Laramie, it's gotten worse. I don't know what happened since I was gone, but we lost Chinese place, and it was not replaced with a good one.
That's a shame. But yeah, then like Mexican food's everywhere.
Mexican food is, you can usually find really good Mexican food in any given town.
I will say, when I lived up in Montana, that's been 15 years. But their Mexican food was dog shit.
Yeah, Billings, I'm not gonna, mince words. The Mexican restaurant we ate at in Billings was garbage. But Montana doesn't have it all, but move there, not Wyoming.
Well, it seems like Thai and Indian food is like the next waves of shit that's just kind of everywhere now. Yeah.
So this place, I don't know if you ever went to the Wagon Wheel when you were in Laramie.
Sounds familiar, but
it's like this old red building with a giant wagon wheel on the thing.
I've seen it. I don't know if I've ever went there.
So it closed, and this new place, the Buffalo Indian restaurant, took over. And I don't know if this is racist, but when I say Buffalo Indian, do you think we're talking about somebody from India, or do we think we're talking maybe I'm going to get some Indian tacos?
Yeah, I'm thinking John Redcorn and not Apu.
Yeah. Okay, so I thought the same thing. So by my parents' house in Colorado, there's this restaurant called Tokabe. It's like an Indian eatery. It's like what it says on the sign. I'm thinking, oh, hell yeah, this is going to be delicious. And it's the fact that it's right by school. Perfect. No, I go in there and it's Indian food. And it was really, really good. But in Laramie, Wyoming, I would not expect to find good Indian food in Laramie.
I bet you they're somehow related to the people that own that truck stop that's on the south side of I-80 there, west of Laramie.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I've never ate at that place, but it always smells really good when I go in there.
Oh, like what? Okay, so that's like almost to Rock Springs.
Yeah.
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 Surprisingly good Indian food at a truck stop. I mean, again, I don't usually suggest eating truck stop Indian food or really any food at a truck stop.
Right. But
It's pretty good.
I like I said, I've never ate there because usually we stop in Laramie to eat. But every time I've gone in there, I was like, that smells really good. I'm not a big connoisseur of Indian food. I've had it a few times and I like it, but it's I'm still warming up to it. So I just never have, but it always smells good. But
it always does.
I don't know how we got off onto that tangent from the college football semifinal, but
we were talking
Midwest Fox
with the culture, but
yeah,
I don't quite. Oh, we were talking about how Florida is divided, and I made a food comment.
That led to food deserts, and that led to Indian food in Wyoming. So there we go. And dot Indian, not feather Indian. Feather Indian's pretty easy to find food in Wyoming and Nevada both. The Indian fry bread's pretty easy to find.
And it's pretty good.
Yeah.
For you, but good.
But college football semifinal, Ohio State, Texas. We had Ohio State coming out on top 28-14. And then a banger of a game, Penn State, Notre Dame. Notre Dame with the late win, 27-24, leading to the Midwest Fuck Bowl of Ohio State, Notre Dame. This is like all of like the old school Big Ten, or just the old school glory days of college football. Is just like all those fans are just nutting all over themselves right now. Ohio State, Notre Dame.
It's kind of wild. I mean, the SEC had one person in the semifinals, two in the quarters. And I mean, we kind of got our shit rocked. The SEC got their shit rocked.
Yeah.
Mountain West, frankly.
Mountain West didn't do so hot.
After how Oregon got beat down, it made a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Oregon was in the regular season. They squeaked by. They didn't have to do too much. They did just enough to win, especially against tough teams. But, I mean, Boise State played them close. Idaho played them close.
Yeah.
And Idaho made it to, I think, like the quarterfinals of the FCS championship.
That I don't know.
They were ranked number 7 in the FCS at the end of the season.
Did North Dakota State end up pulling it out the other night? They were up 21-3 last I saw.
Yeah, North Dakota State ended up beating Montana State and upsetting their undefeated season.
I was sitting at an Irish pub in Flagstaff watching the who was playing. It was the Rams. Fuck, who did they play? The Rams, Vikings, and then they had North Dakota State, Montana State on the other screen. So, Sam Darnold got lit the fuck up.
Yeah, I don't think Darnold is. Everybody's talking about, oh well, he actually does suck. He doesn't actually suck.
No, I thought he had an okay game considering. He just had no time to do anything.
Well, yes and no. He held the ball for way too long.
Yes.
It was getting to the point like where his mobility was relatively non-existent, and that's how they got to him.
Yeah,
and he's never been a mobile quarterback. I'd say he got sacked like 9 times.
I think so.
I think 5 of those were not his fault. 4 of them, he was in the pocket for way too long.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was gonna say that too. I didn't look too much into it, but I was noticing that like it was kind of like half and half.
His line was letting him down.
Yeah.
But you look at a guy like Jaden Daniels for Washington, and he can afford to take 6 seconds in the pocket because he can move.
Right. Well, and
He's like Matthew Stafford or even Peyton Manning. He doesn't have the mobility.
Right.
Out the arm.
Well, and they were. I noticed they were calling it out on the broadcast too. How he doesn't slide as in the pocket all that much. It's a step up, and he's looking to run first. But I mean, to say he had a good game is an outright lie. But he had a rough day at the office, and he didn't play particularly well, but he didn't play particularly bad considering how much he just got harassed.
Yeah.
So I mean, I will say part of that is on Darnold, but I think way more of that was on the Rams defense. I mean, they just harassed him all fucking game.
Unfortunately, it's going to cost Darnold, but at the same time, he's still a starting caliber quarterback. And
I think so. I think you think he stays at Minnesota? I think that'd be a good move for him.
I think he'd probably want to. It depends on what Minnesota wants. I mean, Minnesota.
Who wouldn't want to stay with Justin Jefferson? Come on.
Exactly. I mean, if Minnesota, I think, wants to do J.J. McCarthy justice and do it right, they got to follow the Packers model.
Yeah.
Arnold there, let him develop. Maybe do some like dual option, throw McCarthy in there for some reps, like get him some real-time practice and have him learn from someone who's been in the league for a while. Let him
and then be like, hey, it's a prove it deal. Go get your money. Go win us a championship, and maybe we'll be talking about signing you instead of JJ,
Why not $30 million for 2 years, 3 years, and say, hey, look, you win us a championship. Here's your money.
If he falls back to median, I mean, like you still there. It's hard to find good quarterbacks.
Like you look at what Ryan Fitzpatrick was able to do.
I was a huge fan of Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Where he went, I mean, he took decent money and was able to provide pretty solid backup quarterback play.
I had him in fantasy football more often than not when he was in the league because he wasn't always he wasn't an every week starter, but he's a good guy to have there.
Yeah, and
if he went on a heater, just you ride that pony.
Yeah, because he was streaky, but his streaks were amazing.
Oh yeah, 450 yards and 5 touchdowns was not uncommon for Ryan Fitzpatrick.
He's calculating, flight time and everything, but
I know. When the Harvard brain is clicking, it was hard to stop. So Texas, Ohio State, we've been saying all year that Texas is not for real, or I don't know if it's the coach or if that program, whatever, but
I don't think it's a coaching issue per se, as much as I would say it's a coaching issue for Penn State.
Yeah, Penn State's coach sucks.
Yeah, but at the same time, he doesn't, right?
Right.
Got them to the semifinals in the college football playoff in the first year that they were ever in the playoff, right?
Yep.
And that's saying something now, right? Like last year, that wouldn't mean shit. They just made the playoff. I mean, they fought their way. They had 2 wins to get to where they were.
Yep.
And they put up a hell of a fight against Notre Dame, which is unfortunately one of the best teams in the country.
I know.
Shown repeatedly. I mean, they kind of fucked up Texas A&M, and I called it. A&M was an 8-4 team. They were mediocre.
They got caught slipping real hard. That was a bad looking loss, but at the end of the day, they're in the national championship, and it's hard to say they don't belong there because they're.
I would argue that Ole Miss's losses were better, but Ole Miss had losses, plural.
Yeah.
Alabama had losses, plural. Notre Dame, 1 loss.
1 loss. I think you got to force them into a conference at some point.
BYU did it. Army and Navy did it.
Yep.
I think.
Yeah, and if Army and Navy can do it, fucking Notre Dame can do it too.
I mean, we've seen. Actually, we'll see. We'll see if they can hang.
Yeah, that's.
But
and honestly, it's I wouldn't mind for the Notre Dame fucks to have something to brag about. Because the last time they were good, I was 3. They've been good at times, but the last time they've been like truly relevant on the national stage, I was 3 to 7 years old.
Goodness.
Yeah. So and Ohio State fans are just arrogant fucks, and
I hate most of the Big Ten fans. I'll root for Wisconsin because I got family up there, and
Wisconsin's kind of a fun team.
Yeah.
I don't mind Penn State. I kind of like Penn State. I can't stand Ohio State. What I don't get is how there are so many goddamn Ohio State fans, and I have yet to meet a single person in my life that has ever been a fan of the state of Ohio. Not one. Not fucking one.
No, I know a lot of folks who are Ohio State fans, and maybe it's because their granddad or their dad went to Ohio State. They're not from Ohio. They're not going to Ohio State.
Yeah, how did Ohio State become one of the biggest universities in the country?
I don't know. It's in Ohio.
Yeah.
That's what doesn't make sense. Like schools like Alabama, I'm sorry. What the fuck is in Alabama? Tuscaloosa? What the fuck is in Tuscaloosa?
How far are they from all the missile and bomb makers that are in Alabama?
City? That's I don't even know. I think.
Well, and that's where like all the Nazi scientists went to, was in Alabama, because they got the space stuff down there too.
Yeah, well, that's why they call it Rocket City. I think Rocket City is closer to.
Is it Birmingham? Maybe.
I think it's close. It might be Birmingham. I don't know. There's all over the place.
I don't know, but they, for some reason, they have cultivated a hell of a football program down there.
Yeah,
that I'm not a fan of, but I just, you got to game respects game,
Yeah, it's Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh,
Huntsville. That's northern Alabama, and I guess it's kind of close to it, but not super close. But it's like the same. Like the SEC doesn't make sense. You got teams like Tennessee, like schools like Tennessee in Knoxville, big city. That would make sense. Vanderbilt, Nashville, big city, that makes sense. And then you go to Oxford or Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, or Clark's. Was it Clarksville?
Starkville for
Starkville.
Well, Starkville is a arena with some mud and a bunch of hogs, and that's they go out, they go drinking, they go to the bars. It's actually just the one drive-through liquor store in town,
right?
Because Mississippi State is a mud school and will always be a mud school, and it's dirty.
Which their sister cousin works at on Tuesdays.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shit to do with Mississippi. You're not fucking. You're fucking at that point.
I posted a meme a while back that said, I guess it was a tweet that I reposted on Instagram, but it was like, cowboys are cooler than farmers. Always have been, always will be. And some chick from Mississippi was like, got real uppity about it. I remember.
They always do.
And she's like, she's like, we don't call them cowboys down here. We call them hands. I was like, shit, the only hands in Mississippi are from a grabby uncle.
No, it's funny because, you got a hand, right? I'm a pretty punchy hand, but I'm also a cowboy, right?
Well, it's just the terminology varies. I'm buckaroo.
But you're also asking me to go milk the cows. I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
I'll steal a horse. I'll fix your fence. I'll break his horses. I'll move cows. But you're asking me to do a lot more when you're changing my terminology from cowboy to ranch hand. And you better pay me accordingly. All right. When I
Yeah.
say cowboy, I'm expecting minimum wage. To pay ranch hand. You're paying me. You're paying me good.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, that's a nice aspiration to have.
yeah. Is it likely? No, but it's nice to have.
Nice to have.
Country boys ride their cousins, cowboys ride horses.
That's right. All right, so in that case, the country boys rode the fuck out of the Cowboys down in Texas, and those big old corn-fed Midwest fucks
They beat
their way.
the brakes off of Texas.
The game was a little closer than it appears. It was, Texas had a chance to tie it up, and then it was a really good defensive play. So
it was defensive. I mean, that's what Ohio
It's kind of one of those fluky type situations, but it wasn't a fluke play. It's just like it bounced right, and because Ohio State made a hell of a play there, it was. But just the fact that he also fumbled right into the dude's hands who was able to scoop and score. That's like I said, that's kind of fluky. It's not a fluke, but just how the ball bounced, pun intended, was Ohio State's way in that way, and it sealed the game. So yeah, Texas had they didn't even try to score that extra touchdown on to make it a 1-score game. They're just like, no, fuck. That's that. It was a valiant effort to get it in a spot where they could possibly tie, but despite Brian Day also kind of being a dipshit coach that's like pretty good, but not. I don't know. He's.
They ever won the national championship?
Yeah, they've won a handful.
Oh, I mean, like the college football playoff. Have they ever won?
I don't know about the playoff. I think the last time they won was a BCS.
That's what I thought. Because Ryan Day, they've been to a handful of college football playoffs. I mean, they're among like the 5 teams who are in it every year.
Yeah, they always have a top 5 recruiting class.
One. I mean, they've got so much money. I mean, that's where the robber barons are. You've got like the cattle barons. The ones who bought up all the land and shot up all the small farmers in Johnson County.
Mm-hmm.
They all went to Texas and Texas A&M, where their little theater sons could go be cool and be drilled.
Yell leaders.
Yeah, what is it called? Yell leader?
I think that's what it's called.
My dad, so my grandma's brother, so my great uncle, his son, I think, was a yell leader. And I was like, so he was one of the little fruity guys up front, one of the little cheerleaders with the little thing. And he's like, that's not what they are. It's a tradition. I'm like, no.
So you have a tradition of being a queer?
Tradition. And it's like, I know so many gay people who are like, it's the gayest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah, Liberace says it's super gay.
These are the gayest straight men up there are. The yell leaders for the guys. I don't understand it.
The governor of Colorado and his gay husband both agree that it's gayer than them.
Jared Polis is like, that's too
Gavin
gay.
Newsom and Justin Trudeau both say that's gayer than us.
Absolutely.
But
and it's where all this money is, and that's why Ohio State's predictably always going to be good. Notre Dame is good because they've also got that historic money factor.
Yeah,
they're the Pope's. It's how the Pope manufactures its wealthy lawyers to keep the pedo cases out of public eye.
How much money do you think the Catholic Church pumped into that movie Rudy?
I think they funded it.
I wouldn't be surprised. That movie sucked, by the way. Fuck Rudy. Rudy's a bitch.
It's a lie.
He was offsides.
Everybody who was like a part of that team was like, yeah, that is not at all what was going on.
No. Yeah, it turns out Rudy was kind of an asshole. But But anyway, Notre Dame now in the national championship, going up against the other Midwest fucks, Ohio State. Ohio State is a 8-point favorites.
Oh, no.
And it's in Atlanta. I imagine that crowd's going to be 50-50. Both teams travel well. I've never met anybody that's went to Notre Dame either. I've met a handful of people that went to Ohio State, but not many, honestly. A ton of Ohio State fans, ton of Notre Dame fans, and at most, I think I can think of 3 people that went to Ohio State that I've met. And none from Notre Dame. But a lot of fans. I would imagine the ratings on this game will be through the fucking moon. Yeah, this is like the old school college football fans just wet dream.
Yeah.
The first year of the playoff, and you get the 2 of the old historic blue bloods. And I mean, it's a cool story. Can't really stand either team.
I would have liked to have, maybe Boise even or
Arizona State would have been fun.
They would have been really great to make it all the way. They almost did. I mean, Texas barely made it out of the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And Arizona State had them.
How do you think Arizona State would have fared against Ohio State, though?
Well, Texas had like a 3-score lead at one point and gave it up and barely won in overtime. I don't know. I think Texas doesn't have, because I don't even know if Jaden Blue is still at Texas, but their running game isn't the same as it was last year.
No, it's
that is a huge reason that they struggled this year against Georgia, against even Vanderbilt. They struggled because Vanderbilt was able to stop the run and force Quinn Ewers to throw the ball when he wasn't like prepared to.
Isn't it funny how there's always these high flying offenses that do just put up video game numbers and then they can't run the ball when it counts, and that it's like
Ole Miss.
Yeah, Denver Broncos.
The Broncos. And I mean, Ole Miss was phenomenal. I mean, I kind of knew Georgia was flaky when Ole Miss beat the piss out of them.
Yeah.
But then Ole Miss had to run the ball to beat LSU. Couldn't do it. Had to run the ball to beat Florida. Couldn't do it. Had to run the ball to beat Kentucky. Couldn't do it.
Isn't it? It's really interesting how there was a lot of parity in college football this year, like a lot more so than past years. Like every one of the teams that made the playoffs was flawed, and some of them like really flawed. But like nobody, well, I guess Oregon was unscathed until the playoff.
Yeah. It was the last undefeated team.
Yeah. And
lost to Tulane and Navy.
Yep. Yeah. So it was a lot of parity in college football this year. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out going forward with the NIL. And I like the playoff system, though. It makes the season really long for those teams in it. But I mean, I think it's a better way to decide a national championship. It's there's always going to be squabbling about who gets left out, but I think this is the best way to figure out who's the best. You know, like, okay, you can tinker with some stuff. I think the whole seeding system needs to because like
seed after each round.
Or the initial seeding anyways, just changing the initial seeding I think would help a bunch.
I heard someone talking about making the first round a play-in. So you win your conference, you've got the bye, right? You have a auto bid.
Yeah.
Right? And then if you're the fifth, you have an auto bid in the play-in. Like you are the first seed of the play-in round. And then it makes people bitch a lot less because if Ole Miss missed the play-in, I'd be complaining a lot less about them not making the play-in than I would making the playoff because it sounds a little lame.
Yeah.
But I mean, that way you have kind of more of an option.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
You even make 16 teams and have a play-in for the 12-team playoff.
There you go.
Because then you have number like basically through 15. 1 through 15, and that's saying that the number 5 ranked conference champion isn't among them.
Yeah.
Was this year. And then you could have, if you have 5 conference champions, like if next year Boise State runs the table in the Pac-8 or whatever and is ranked in the top 10 again, and then you have either Clemson or I think NC State's building back pretty strong. I'd say they're a contender.
Belichick gonna
Belichick at UNC might be a solid option.
But I don't think it will be, but I'm not going to count that fucker out.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
And in this age where you can buy college players now, UNC's got a lot of fucking money.
They have a lot of money. I mean, they still care more about basketball than they do football. But, maybe someone wants to spend some money.
Yeah, but
Miami just got
I say guys because and I mean they're probably mostly guys with all that money. One thing with guys with that amount of money, they got a little bit of ego, and they're not gonna hesitate to scratch that ego to get a UNC in the college football playoff. No?
I mean, a couple years ago they were close.
Yeah, they
had a little bit of a heyday. They had NC State, Duke, Wake Forest, and UNC all in the top 25 at one point. And that's pretty impressive when your 3 top tier D1 programs, Power 5 programs make it, top 25. It's pretty impressive.
Bill Belichick might just end up taking over the NCAA. Because that guy's probably not ever going to die.
He had to deal with the devil.
Yeah, I think he might be immortal.
Yeah, so did Nick Saban, but I think Saban, beat him fair and square for it.
Yeah,
retired. Belichick had to get fired to get kicked out of the NFL.
I'm looking at the UNC thing, and is it a case of the old heads jumping into the game but being completely out of touch, and they're just going with a known commodity in Bill Belichick? Or is it a brilliant move because you're getting an NFL guy who was also a general manager to come and manage the financials of that and put together? That guy was a master of just piecing teams together around a couple key players.
Yeah, and I think he's going to really succeed because of his name.
Yeah.
The transfer portal, having the opportunity to play for Bill Belichick is pretty huge.
Right.
Whether or not, you guys go out and win a championship, having the opportunity to learn from a guy like Bill Belichick, I can't imagine a lot of intelligent, career kind of minded folks, like players, are going to be like, no, I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah. I bet you see a bunch of UNC players get drafted in the next, 5 years or so, if depending on how long that deal lasts with Belichick. But I bet you he makes a bunch of professional football players, and maybe not most talented, but professional.
Well, he might be making them with the local sorority girls. I don't know if he's making.
I mean, either way, I just want to see it happen. I want to see what's going on down there. I'm almost convinced that Belichick's an evil genius, and he's just he's like the George Soros of football. He's just wrecking nations at this point. All right. So what's your prediction on the championship? We got Ohio State -8.
I'm going to take Notre Dame to cover.
You think it's a 1-score game?
I think it is. I'm looking at Penn State, Ohio State. What was the score in that game?
Penn State, Ohio State.
That game was the one that knocked them out of the 20-13. All right.
Okay.
Penn State defense that held Ohio State to 20. This is an Ohio State team that has the rushing and air attack to be able to put up points. I mean, they put up 41 against Oregon, 42 against Tennessee, two very good defenses on paper from the season. They've consistently had a very strong offense this season. And Texas held them to basically 21, discounting the scoop and score, three scores. Penn State held them to 3 scores. Notre Dame has not been as fortunate offensively.
They got a stout defense.
They've been stout, right? Like 28 or 66 against Purdue and 51 against Navy and 52 against Florida State. So 3 of the garbage teams.
Yeah.
They put up big points against. But, it was kept close most of the year when they played a real opponent. 23-13 Texas A&M, 31-24 Louisville. Army barely put up a fight, but USC took them down the wire. It's 49-35 was a shootout. I think that Notre Dame has the ability to go down the wire. They can play in the shootout. I don't know if Ohio State can play in the shootout. They lost to Oregon that way. They couldn't hang out in the shootout against Oregon. That's how they lost. So,
I don't know that Notre Dame can put that many points up on Ohio State, though. That defense is pretty nasty.
Well, so was the Army defense against solid teams that put up points. And that's not saying a lot. It is Army, but they put up 49 on Army. They put up 51 on a ranked Navy squad that was also top 10 defense at the time. They put up 31 against a number 15 Louisville squad that ended up being pretty decent end of the season. Texas A&M, they put up, not a great stat line, but they do enough. I think they have a more complete offense that's going to be able to hang in a shootout, and I think that's what this is going to turn into. I think this is going to end up being like a 35-38 type game, and it's because Riley Leonard ends up being able to do more for his team than Will Howard is. And if Notre Dame can lock down Quinshon Judkins and force Riley Leonard into passing to people who are not Jeremiah Smith, I think that there's a pretty solid chance Notre Dame comes out on top, or at least keeps it close.
I think I like Notre Dame to cover as well. I've hearing a lot of people think Ohio State's going to get blown out. Any other year, I would be on that train as well. But when it comes to coaching, I give Notre Dame a big edge on there. I like that Freeman guy. He's done.
Freeman, I think, is a better coach than Ryan Day.
I've liked what I've heard from him so far, and I've been saying it for like 5-6 weeks now that it pains me to say it, but I think Notre Dame's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
And and this is where maybe we should do a gentleman's bet on this, or we'll figure out the terms. But I think it's going to be an old school Midwest fuck type game, and it's going to be a slug out 17-14, 13-10, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Or like a 27-24, like the Notre Dame Penn State game. I see it being a lot like that. Two really, really good defenses. But I mean, it's the fucking national championship. What do you expect?
I almost wonder if Notre Dame is going to try and sacrifice some defense for some speed. They're going to try to score quickly on offense and build up somewhat of a lead or somewhat of a cushion.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Howard has outpassed Riley Leonard. What I've seen from Riley Leonard, at least in the playoffs, impresses me more than what Will Howard has done.
Well, and if you listen to like the Ohio State fans, their weakness on defense is the corners. And yeah, so if you can kind of start slinging it around and have some success with that, yeah, maybe they can hang in a shootout. And they got a really good defense, but Ohio State is always playing with video game type players every year, especially at the skill position. Like their quarterbacks are whatever most of the time, but yeah, they have edge rushers out the ass. They have wide receivers out the ass. They have running backs out the ass. So Notre Dame don't have that type of depth.
Yeah.
So it's
yes and no, but Ohio State is probably going to be back here next year. Notre Dame doesn't know that.
No, but so when it comes down to it, it's the national championship, and you kind of got to throw some of the analytics out the window, and you got to go right on vibes a little bit.
That's what I'm saying.
And on that reason, I think Notre Dame's gonna come out hungry. I don't like Ohio State people can't stand Ryan Day. Turns out he's a pretty good coach, but he also born on third base. You know, he inherited a fucking Urban Meyer team. So it's and then he just so happens to have the Ohio State and all their boosters behind him. So I think you can make pretty much anybody look like a competent coach with that behind you. So I'm just going with like Notre Dame's been shit on forever. I think they're going to come out firing on all cylinders. Ohio State's on paper, in real life, talent-wise, a way better team. But I think Notre Dame wants it more. That's what I'm going with. It's kind of the feeling I have with the Lions this year. Like they just they make me want to root for them. They like, I like Dan Campbell. I like that team. Yeah. Every time they get what should be just like a season shattering injury, they come out and beat the brakes off of people and just impose their will on them. And Dan Campbell looks like he's a brilliant coach right now, because he'll beat the shit out of him. And then, all right, now we're just going to run the ball. Try and stop us. Oh, you can't stop us? Guess what? We're running it a fucking again. Oh, and then by the way, we'll get you to overcommit now. Get one of these receivers out in space. It's just like I mean, he's playing on another level right now. Yeah. And the Lions are like they're playing to win. Like they if and I don't. Broncos are out now, so I'm a free agent, and I'm fully behind Josh Allen, and Jared Goff in the Super Bowl. That's what I want.
A Bills Lions Super Bowl. The Lions have never even been to the Super Bowl, I don't think, right?
No, the Lions have never been. The Bills have never won.
Yeah, at least 4 times and got smacked 3 years in a row.
The bright spot for the Bills is they can't get beat by the Cowboys in the Super Bowl this year. Yeah. So they're part of the way there already. they beat the shit out of the Broncos. And like I said, I'm not even disappointed in the Broncos at that loss. Like, it was, did not expect them to be there. The fact that they were there is a plus. It means good things coming in the future, I think. But yeah, it wasn't their time, and Josh Allen ain't fucking around this year. He's looked really good. He's cut down on a lot of mistakes, and they look really good in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, we're going back to the national championship. Yeah, I'm gonna take Notre Dame to cover. Let me pull up what the over unders is.
According to ESPN, it's 45.5.
45.5.
I'm thinking over that, but I mean, with the way the defenses have been playing and how both offenses have been kind of streaky at times, maybe the under is the right call. I just want to see a shootout.
Yeah, I do too. I would like that.
It was nice watching Tom Brady come back when they were down 28-3, just because it made it exciting.
Now, I don't want like a 55-50 game with no defense, but I do kind of want a shootout. Like a 38-35, somewhere in there. I'd like to see like where the defense has to make a stand, where it's not just whoever has the ball last.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want to. So yeah, it's we got 46 as the over on mybookie.com. Notre Dame plus 285 money line. I might throw $5 on that. Just I like the odds. So almost 3-1. They got it at 8.5 here. Yeah, I like Notre Dame. It's probably a 4 or a 6 point game if I had to guess. I think it's a touchdown game. Like I 8.5. Yeah, if it was any other year or if it was a different coach with Notre Dame, I would take Ohio State and the over, and probably the Irish to get blown out by 40 points. That happened one time. I think the last time Notre Dame was in the national championship was the Manti Te'o year, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah, and he was good.
He was. Turns out really dumb. Real dumb.
Always be smart.
No, well, I mean, football players, might be some people might yell at me, but they're not known to be the smartest people on earth. A handful of them are, but not most of them. Not most of them. It's kind of like the military. Like there's a handful that are really, really sharp, intelligent people, but there's a lot of like the military is a minimum wage type of job. Pay and how they treat you too.
Yeah, you've got people who want to be there, who are the smart ones, and dumb people who are just there because they thought it'd be fun.
There's some incentives, at least on the incentives to be a professional football player way higher, obviously, but way less likely to happen. Where military, yeah, you can get free college, go, do whatever it is for a year, especially if you're not in the infantry. I was thinking, like, I know a lot of veterans, and they talk about how just boring and just routine bullshit you do. Like, can you imagine what that'd be like if we didn't have a war to fight?
No, I don't.
Like, it'd be
so. I mean, like, without a purpose, all the bullshit they have us do. I mean, I think it'd be higher, closer to like 44, 45 per day.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm making light of a very serious situation, but You force us to do the same dumb shit with no purpose, and that's I don't know if I can.
Well, it'd be even more dumb shit because
that would be cool shit to do.
Oh yeah, it would be it'd be something else. So all right, that kind of wraps up college football. So last game, chances are it's going to be Ohio State Buckeyes coming.
I'm hoping
coming out with the win.
I can't really see. I can see the. No, I can see it not really going in Notre Dame's favor at all.
So long story short, if you're not a Midwest fuck, you probably don't have
you don't really care.
Don't really care. I'm hoping for a good game just because I'm always hoping for a good game in the national championship. And being a fan of the underdogs, and it's hard saying that Notre Dame's an underdog. One of the fucking blue bloods.
Like the definition sense.
Yeah.
All right, you want to take a break before we hit NFL?
Yeah, that'd be a good. We'll
segue.
Yeah, I got to go take a leak anyways. So. We're back. Okay, NFL wildcard weekend. Really, the only big surprise for me was this Chargers Texans game. I bought into the Harbaugh hype a little too hard and didn't go with my head, and that the Chargers are the Chargers until proven otherwise.
I would say yes in any other circumstance, except for the fact that the Texans have held every single elite quarterback they have faced this year to below average numbers. They have upset Josh Allen's rhythm, Patrick Mahomes' rhythm, uh, Lamar Jackson's rhythm. They have
beat
played
the Broncos twice.
Bo Nix's rhythm. Yeah, no, you want to like it is. And then that's not saying that Bo Nix is a great quarterback, but he's a good quarterback.
He's been pretty good this year.
And they were one of the teams that really kind of showed that he was maybe not quite ready at this level yet.
Yeah. Texans are a good team. D'Amico Ryans is a great coach. The Chargers are, again, a team that kind of overperformed because nobody really knew what the fuck they were going to be. They got rid of a lot of players. They completely turned around their style of playing football. Harbaugh is a Midwest fuck, and he plays football like it.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at, he really was able, despite the fact that he plays football like a Midwest fuck, he was really able to like use a decent Chargers team and play
really good football this year.
And that's not easy to do. Like,
no,
to go in and like Sean Payton struggled last year.
Yeah.
He struggled this year. Harbaugh came in, he changed the culture, he changed the vibes of that locker room, and he changed how they played football, and I think he did a pretty solid job.
No, I think so. I mean, like I said, they overperformed. The AFC West is a motherfucker right now. Like they're and setting up to be that way for a while. Outside of the Raiders, but who fucking cares?
Yeah, they don't really count.
Yeah.
Now that Satan himself has bought into that team, I really hope they lose every game next year.
Yeah. So I watched part of this game, and I took these two games in that 13-point teaser, and the Steelers getting embarrassed ruined that teaser for me because I was like, I said, there's no way they're going to lose by 10 points in the playoffs, and they go out and lose by 2 scores. But
who started that quarterback? Was it good old Dangerous? Because I think I called it.
Yeah.
I think I don't trust Russell Wilson anymore.
So I didn't get to watch this game a whole lot. Russ was 20 of 29 for 270 and 2 touchdowns.
Well, I guess maybe it's more like not what he does.
But then Derrick Henry had 26 carries for 186 yards and 2 touchdowns, which that's the most embarrassing part for a Steelers fan because you're a defensive team, especially like a smash mouth defensive team, and Derrick Henry just had his way with you and your wife and her sister and everyone. Just, I mean, he just ran rampant over your whole family.
Yeah, he fucked y'all up.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like any team that played Ashton Genty.
Yeah, pretty much.
Good you are. He's still gonna fuck you up.
Saquon Barkley this year, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought the 2 best running backs in the league would have had career best seasons?
I know it's been. I've been a fan of Barkley since college, and I hated to see him up in New York because you're just like, they can't even really use that guy because they're losing all the time, so they got to throw the ball, and you're just like, man, you just got to feed that guy, get the ball in his hands somehow.
He's like Derrick Henry, and they had the offensive line to really succeed with a guy like Saquon, but they didn't. Because they chose to put it all behind Dan Jones. Who, unfortunately, despite their best efforts, sucks.
Well, in a point in his favor, he made the playoffs and they didn't. So
that is true. Dan Jones does have a playoff win under his belt.
Yeah.
Which is more than any drafted quarterback besides Tim Tebow for the Denver Broncos can say.
Yeah. Well, and then the Giants are gonna have what, the third or fourth pick this year?
I think so.
And Daniel Jones made the wild card round. So, who's the real winner there?
Yeah, I mean, it makes me wonder. Like Daniel Jones did not have the high school or the college career that Sam Darnold had, but I think, is a very similar quarterback, except he can run. And he has the talents to be, a pretty solid. I'm not saying he's elite. He's most definitely not elite, but he has the talents to be a pretty solid quarterback in the NFL, and he just needs the right team around him. I think he's more of like that kind of journeyman backup who's going to end up being, kind of like a Jimmy Garoppolo type player.
Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah, Blaine Gabbert. Blake Bortles.
You know what I think Daniel Jones' problem is, because he's got all the physical talent, and he's got the smarts, but I think he has the physical deformity of that super long giraffe neck.
Yeah,
and
just like David Mills.
So he doesn't get enough oxygen to the brain in high pressure situations, and then he shits the bed because his neck's just too fucking long.
The logic there checks out.
I mean,
see no fault.
I'm not a scientist, but I do have a science degree, and science checks out.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor, but professional medical opinion.
I'm not a scientist, but I have called myself a doctor many a time. Broncos at the Bills. I didn't get to watch this. I listened to the first half on the radio, and then the second half, I'm glad we didn't. The radio. We were sighting in a rifle. I got to send you pictures of this AR I got for Christmas. It's pretty dope. But we were sighting it in, and we were parked right underneath power lines. So when we'd go out to check the targets, we could catch the game, and then as soon as we'd park back under the power lines, the radio would go out. And I'm kind of glad, because the second half was not real great.
Yeah, I mean, the first half. The first half was solid. I mean, that was Broncos football, like that we've been playing all season.
They went down and scored. Was a 43-yard touchdown pass? So all right.
Yeah, we did pretty solid to get open up the game.
And then we held them to a field goal too, and I was like, all right, we're in business here.
We can work with this, and then it got worse, right? Then they scored a touchdown. Then we had the doink. We could have tied it up before half. Couldn't do that, and then second half comes around. And they didn't get to 28 points organically. They had to get the 2-point conversion.
Yep.
To get to 28, and then they just added another field goal on.
Yeah, it's
embarrassing when you hold a team to less touchdowns than it looks like on paper, but you can't tell because you allowed them to get the fucking 2-point conversion. I think that's pretty embarrassing.
Well, and James Cook, who's a good running back, but he's not he's okay. Like he's average for sure.
If we're gonna rate them in like A is the highest, we've got Saquon Barkley
as an A+,
Jahmyr Gibbs, and Derrick Henry as like the 3 A's, and then I'd say James Cook is a solid B.
Yeah, B,
better than average quarterback who maybe doesn't get as much love as he should, but he's serviceable.
Yeah,
which is more than I can say about the Broncos running game.
Right, but James Cook against the Broncos have a great defense. Their run game has been pretty weak all year. Overall, great defense. Run game has been suspect, and in the playoffs, it's the It's up front that matters, and the teams that can run the ball usually win. And the Broncos haven't been able to run the ball very well this year. And like, I put that most of that on Sean Payton. Like, Estime has only been good when we give him the ball, and they just don't give him the ball that much. McLaughlin's shown some stuff. I take it back. Estime had some fumble issues early on, but it seems like he got that fixed. And down the stretch, like when they handed him the ball, he got positive yards. And like, yeah, Sean Payton gets too cute.
Yeah, no, I agree.
He's yeah. Like I just that's why I love Dan Campbell. Like they put on a show first half, get up big, and then he just runs the ball down your fucking throat. Try and stop me. But all in all, it was a good season for the Broncos. Bills look really good, and yeah, that was not how I wanted the game to go, but I'm not surprised by that outcome at all.
Yeah. No, definitely upsetting, but it wasn't surprising. Like, it was a bummer. It was upsetting the fact that, oh man, I wish we could have won. But
it's not going to eat at me.
Yeah,
at
I
all.
didn't think that we were going to make it at all.
Right. So yeah, we were playing with house money. Like if we would have beat the Bills, I would have really felt sad for Josh Allen for a minute, and then probably a bunch in the postseason. But at the time, I'd been like, "Fuck yeah, Broncos are back, baby." But even so, Broncos in the playoffs, I'm all about it. First round out, it sucks, but I'll take it. I'll take it after the last 7 years. I'll take it.
Longest drought behind the Jets, and that's
the Jets have really
upsetting.
Yeah, well, and prior to about midway this season, the Jets at least had some sort of light at the end of their tunnel, and the Broncos really didn't.
Yeah.
And now, Broncos' future looks pretty damn bright. The new ownership seems to be competent. They just brought themselves back up to competent after that Russell Wilson deal.
Yeah.
That'll go down as.
I liked Russell Wilson. I thought that it wasn't a bad move. It was just we handled it the wrong way.
Oh, they paid so much money.
They should not have paid him that way, especially after paying what we did for Sean Payton. We traded for him. It wasn't like Sean Payton just decided to come coach for us. We bought and paid for him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we had to give him a first rounder, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he came free.
But all of that is because of the John Elway era. They got handed a mess. They swung big, took a risk with Russ Wilson and Hackett. Both of them were dismal failures. And
well, the reason they brought Hackett in was to try to get Aaron Rodgers here.
Yeah.
I genuinely think if we had Aaron Rodgers rather than Russell Wilson, I think we would not be having a conversation about Bo Nix at all.
Probably not. And but then we'd have been in the same situation we were after he retired. But
my thought is that what we could do with Aaron Rodgers, we draft his replacement. He doesn't have to be Bo Nix, but we draft a guy who's like Jordan Love. Draft one of these guys from one of these group of 5 schools. Obviously Bryson Daly is not going to an NFL team, but besides that, get a guy who and has proven himself to be a solid quarterback with mechanics wise, and go from there.
Yeah. But I don't know. It seems to be kind of shaking itself out in the right direction. There's a big improvement, and yeah, I'm for once actually kind of excited for what it's going to look like next season. So, we'll see how that goes. Packers at the Eagles. Eagles rolled.
That
Jordan
one was tough to watch. Eagles really, and it was closer than the scoreline shows, but it
3 picks. Can't do that. Can't do that.
Yeah.
That's yeah. And I like Jordan Love, but yeah, three picks in any game should be a killer.
It was like the Florida game where Jackson Dart just threw a bunch of picks at the end. It was like that he was just heaving it up, hoping to make it work.
Yeah.
Down to like basically practice squad receivers.
Yep.
They're running full tight ends in receiver positions because everybody was injured.
Yeah. It wasn't gonna work. It didn't work. Yeah, and yeah, that it wasn't gonna work. Injuries, all of that, and then led to 3 picks, and you're not gonna win a playoff game almost ever. I wouldn't say never because there's probably been somebody that has thrown 3 picks in the playoffs and won.
Yeah, I mean, people would say that you're not going to be able to win with 5 picks, and Jared Goff did it this year. So
yeah,
it's definitely possible. It's just not really the desired outcome, and
it's not ideal.
Most injured team, the Texans are also pretty banged up, but for the most part, the Packers are the most decimated team that made the playoffs. They made it decently far this season, like with a pretty beat up core. I mean, this isn't a bad season for them.
No, it was
maybe by their standards they're a little bad, but their playoff year is not a bad year.
No, they're a few injuries away of being they're I don't know. This is kind of what you expect out of the Packers though. The Eagles, they look good. Jalen Hurts, we'll see. I like Jalen Hurts. I want him to do good, but he's he gets the job done though. We'll see how if he can keep it up. Having Saquon doesn't hurt. No. They're kind of banged up in their receiver core though, aren't they?
A little bit, but I don't know. I mean, they're good enough that AJ Brown can read a book on the sideline. I don't know if you saw that. He got so tired of not getting targets, I think, that he just decided he wanted to read a little book.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and so like the morning news in Philly the next day, they all were reading the book before they started, I guess, their morning segment. It was kind of funny.
That's funny. Fucking wide receivers, they're always pulling shit, aren't they?
Yeah, they're divas.
Always are. And then I didn't get to watch this game at all. The Commanders, Bucks. I hear Redskins is coming back. I hope so.
I don't know. The logo, yes. The name, not so much. I feel like we can do better. It's just not creative.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. I just think there's like better names. Redskins is fine, but like I think there's a better name that we could go with than Redskins. I mean,
I don't know. All the Indians I know want the Redskins back. So
the John Smith. Oh yeah, no. I just think Redskins is lazy. I think we could be cooler with it and maybe like more tongue in cheek.
I don't know. The whole story behind it's pretty cool. It's named after a Native American guy on their team.
Yeah, no, and it's true. It's pretty neat.
So, either way, Jaden Daniels is the real deal. We'll see how that sophomore season looks. I said the same thing about CJ Stroud last year, and he had He had a definite slump this year. He's still good. He's still good.
Played his team into the playoffs.
Won the wild card game. So yeah, we'll see. Jaden Daniels looks really good. This looks like it was a hell of a game. But the Commanders, the Bucks are beat up too, though. They've
yeah, and that's. I mean, it was kind of a bummer because I was really looking forward to maybe a little Baker run.
Yeah, but it seems like they've been playing on fumes since about week 6.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield, he has earned all the fucking money he's gonna get because he's gonna. Is he up again or no? He just signed, didn't he?
Yeah.
Man, that I it's hard not to like that guy. He's just a fucking gamer.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah, they were, like I said, it seemed like they've been running on fumes for a while, but it's a good story. I'm sure they'll be back in it this year or next year. Rams at the Vikings. Rams that's my dark horse for the Super Bowl. They're buzzing right now. They beat the shit out of Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, Sam Darnold maybe didn't have like the best game, but
because of that Rams defense. I mean, I put the Darnold having a bad game way more credit to the Rams defense than to Darnold reverting to Darnold. Like they played a hell of a game. What's his Shula, Mike Shula's kid or Don Shula. Yeah. He had a hell of a game plan and they executed well. I mean, they just harassed Darnold all fucking game. And when he was able to make throws, he made good throws. But the Rams looked really good. They beat the shit out of the Vikings. So where did they play that game at? Arizona, that's right.
Yeah, because of the fires.
Yeah, the Rams were humming. There's a lot of storylines going into next week. So divisional round, we got the Texans at the Chiefs. Might as well just put up the betting lines. So Texans at the Chiefs. We got Chiefs -9, over under at 41.5. I like the Texans to cover that. 9's a ton of points in a playoff game.
Yeah.
41. This feels like it'll be a low scoring game. 41.5. So they're saying that's like a 30-10 game, essentially. 33-12 or something like that. Or 23-12. I like Houston to cover. I think I may on the points. I might tease the over, tease the under. So take it up to 47.5, and go under that. Maybe, I don't know. That line feels pretty much right. That I don't think it's going to be like a 13-10 game, but it's gonna. I don't expect a ton of offense.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see how they run this.
Yeah, Mixon had a good game.
Yeah.
Mixon gets hot, Texans could kind of run away with that. But if it's just like a down and dirty, gritty, one score type of game, I got to go give the edge to the Chiefs on that. Until proven otherwise, I hate to say it.
If the Chiefs have really shown that they're a one-score game team, and
does that luck run out? Because
I would love it to, but at the same time, I don't think it can.
Yeah, I don't think it can against Houston. I think Houston covers, but I think it's like a 3-point game. Kansas City wins. Field goal as time expires. Typical Kansas City story. Harrison Butker, pisses off all the liberals again by being really good at kicking footballs.
He can be really. I don't think that's what pisses him off. I think the fact. I think it's sort of how he believes that women have no value except for babies and making food. But
well, I don't know if he thinks quite that, but yeah. I mean, he wasn't very eloquent in his speech for sure. But I don't. I think that's a kind of gross over generalization of his views, but
that's maybe fair enough. But I mean, he did tell all those women in the audience that they wasted their time with the degree, and I don't know. It's like you could have started a family in these past 4 years. These are like 24-year-old girls, 22-year-old women, and I was like,
well,
a little bit.
I'm not saying he's 100% right, but yeah. Either way, it is also going to piss him off that he's still good at kicking footballs.
Yeah,
and
he's
probably
footballs for different reasons. Because he kicks them for the Chiefs.
Yeah, no, I'm not sticking up for Harrison Butker because he's a Chief. Fuck him. But I will. It will be funny because there'll be a handful of liberals that still remember that and be pissed off again. So that's always fun. Washington at Detroit. This is another huge spread, but this one I think could cover. I don't know that it will. We got Lions -10, over under at 55.5. I think the Lions are on a mission, and the Commanders are fun. I kind of like Detroit to cover the 10. I think it might be a 2-touchdown game. I think it might be a complete blowout by the Lions.
I hate to agree with you, but I think you're right. I mean, I love the Commanders, but the Buccaneers are not the same competition as
no. And you talk about a team that is beat up, like the Lions have so many guys on the IR, but they are just playing out of their fucking mind. Like they're on a mission, and Dan Campbell is like I've got such a big man crush on Dan Campbell right now. Like that guy, like I wish he was the Broncos head coach. Like that team will just follow him into the gates of hell, and it's hard to bet against that. And I could see them easily covering 10 points. And as fun as the Commanders have been this year, they're not as complete of a team, even with all the injuries that Detroit has.
Yeah.
But they got a good one in that quarterback. And
Daniels, I mean, he is one of those guys who can keep them in it.
Yeah. I think he's outmatched by a lot. And I think that bill comes due on skating by on one really good player. I mean, not that they don't have a pretty damn good team, but Lions are on another level. I think they're outclassing them this game, and they win pretty handily. I think it's 2-touchdown game.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I can see that for
and
sure.
I like the over on that too. I could see the Lions putting up 40.
Yeah, no, I
I
can.
I
That's
don't think Washington has the defense to stop them from doing it. And Washington can put up some points, but yeah, Detroit's got a pretty damn good defense too. Hutchinson could be back if should they make the Super Bowl, and that's a game changer.
yeah.
That's a game changer. So I mean, I hate to sound just super bandwagony, but the Lions they seem like they're on a mission. I like them for the Super Bowl. I want to see it. It's a gut pick, but also just fucking numbers on paper. They're the best team in the league this year. Rams at the Eagles. This is an interesting one. The line is Eagles -6, over under at 44. I like the Rams to cover. I think this is going to be a dogfight. I don't know which way it's going to be a dogfight though. Like, is it going to be a shootout or is it going to be a grind them out?
I think it's going to be a shootout.
I'm kind of thinking that too.
I would like it. I would love it to be a grind them out game. That seems pretty exciting, to watch just Saquon Barkley just pound the rock. But, I don't think the talent on the Eagles roster is in their defense. It's a good defense.
It's a good defense.
But their offense is where their talent really is, and I think the Rams can kind of exploit that.
I think so too. I'm gonna throw a little bit of money on Rams money line at +220. I legit think Rams might win this one outright. I think if you line them up, the run game, obviously the Eagles, they got the edge in that. Saquon Barkley's is a goddamn beast. Outside of that, Stafford's a better quarterback. They have Cooper Kupp, Nakua, catching the ball. Who's their tight end? They got a pretty decent tight end. Higbee, is that?
I think he's still playing for the Bengals.
Okay. I'm not sure who their tight end is, but they got a pretty good offense. So quarterback, I give the edge, pretty solid edge to LA. Receiving wise, I give the edge to LA. Jalen Hurts can run the ball, so there's that factor. But I still overall I give the edge to Stafford. Stafford's a stud, and he's been there before. He's won one before, and it seems like the Rams are hitting their stride right at. I mean, they're peaking right at the right time, and they put a hurting on the Vikings offense. So I give a slight edge to the Rams defense just at the way they've been playing. As far as like player breakdown, I couldn't tell you. I don't know enough of the players from either team to tell you, but just going off of how they played, Philly beat up on a decimated Green Bay team, but the Vikings beat the shit out of. I mean, the Rams beat the shit out of a healthy Vikings team that had been putting up a ton of points. So I'm giving edge Rams, and I I think they cover, and I'm gonna throw a little bit of money for them to win outright. I kind of like the Rams to win here.
They're hot and they're healthy.
Yeah,
That's like two of the biggest factors.
And I like McVay over Sirianni on the coaching angle too. So outside of the run game, I give the edge to the Eagles. No disrespect to the Rams. They've got a pretty solid run game too, but I mean Saquon's out of his mind.
Yeah.
But every other phase of the game, special teams, I don't know. I couldn't tell you on that, but skill positions outside of running back, I give the edge to the Rams. I give defense edge to the Rams, and coaching, I give edge to the Rams. So I like them to win this game. Then this is a hell of a game. Baltimore at Buffalo. Given Baltimore the slight favorite -1. It's essentially a pick'em game, but slight edge to the Ravens. Over under at 51. You said this is going to be a cold game, right?
16 degrees in Buffalo, it says on Sunday. So
16 degrees. I don't think that affects either one of these teams.
No.
One bit.
No, I think they are prepared to play in this weather.
How's the wind supposed to be?
Let's see if it'll give me that.
I know my weather app will do it.
Let's see, AccuWeather, Highmark Stadium on Sunday. Let's see. That's on. They're playing on Monday. Excuse me. Are they playing on Monday? No,
the 19th.
Sunday, yeah. So it's saying a high of 19 degrees, feels like 15% chance of snow or precipitation, but that's snow.
Yeah.
It wind at north winds at 7 miles an hour, 18-mile-an-hour gusts.
Okay, so the wind could be an issue. Probably not going to be that big of an issue.
Old issues is all.
But I mean, these are two teams that are used to playing in the cold. They thrive in the cold. I don't think it's going to affect the game all that much. They're both pretty good running teams. Buffalo likes to sling it around, and they do it in the cold. Baltimore can sling it around in the cold. I like the over. I'm going Bills because of the home field advantage. Bills Mafia is going to be out in force. Doesn't matter the temperature, doesn't matter the snow. Bills Mafia is going to show the fuck up. And I'm going just with historical trends on this one. Josh Allen's been to the AFC Championship a lot.
So is Lamar.
Lamar's been there before. Yeah, honestly, it's just going strictly off a home field advantage. Baltimore's got the edge in the run game. Derrick Henry is a goddamn beast. Lamar Jackson's a freak. Josh Allen is a Superman when it comes to, I mean, like that guy has single-handedly drugged that team to the playoffs pretty much every time.
Oh, he's like a LeBron James. LeBron James with the Cavs.
Yeah.
When he basically just grabbed them by their ears and took them to the playoffs.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the Rams-Eagles matchup on the run game. You can't say that the Bills are bad. James Cook just put up 120 against the Broncos. Josh Allen can take over a game with his legs. Lamar Jackson can take over the games with his legs. So can Derrick Henry. So no slight to the Bills, but I give the edge to the Ravens on the run game, which plays a big factor in all weeks, but particularly in the playoffs. and in cold games. So that being said, yeah, Josh Allen, I think this is his year. I like the underdog story of the Bills Lions. And I like I like both of these teams a lot. There's yeah, this is going to be a fun game. This is the Rams Eagles is a great game. The other two games, I'm intrigued by the Texans Chiefs, but I think we predicted how that's going to go almost to a T. Same with the Lions Commanders, but these other two games are really intriguing. They're going to be good. It'll be fun to watch. If it snows, hammer the Bills. They ain't gonna. Yeah, but yeah, hammer the Bills because they ain't gonna lose a snow playoff game at home. They ain't happening. Yeah, so we're looking. I think it's gonna be Chiefs Bills and Lions Rams in the championship round.
I believe that.
That's the Texans, if they make it through, I'll be happy about that. I like the Texans. They're a fun team. I like D'Amico Ryans. I like CJ Stroud a lot.
I would prefer the Texans to make it through than the Chiefs because
I would too.
Any chance we have at ensuring that the Chiefs don't get to three-peat, I am all for.
Oh, I will be rooting Texans. Like I said, I'm putting money on Texans to cover. I would love it if they won 320 plus 320 is the money line there. I'm not going to put money on it. I don't think it's going to happen. I would love it to, but yeah, I think late field goal wins it for the Chiefs. Chiefs Bills. Chiefs got the home field at that. It's gonna. Those games are always good, though. I think Josh Allen pulls it off this time, though.
I think the Ravens beat them pretty soundly during the regular season, the Bills, and I don't think it's going to happen again.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I think home field advantage plays a huge advantage here. I think it's Bills Chiefs again in the playoff or in the AFC Championship, and then Rams Lions, and I think those are going to be fun games. It's been the NFL season was kind of ho hum until it wasn't, and then all of a sudden it was like, holy shit, there's a lot of really good football being played right now.
Yeah, and I think we're kind of hitting the stride of good football.
I know it's playoffs they're always great, and I came into the college football season just kind of like, all right, whatever, let's see how it goes. I wasn't for or against the playoff necessarily. I was like, well, this is what it is. Let's see how it goes. And it was really entertaining. And as much as I don't like Ohio State or Notre Dame, I'm still going to watch that game, and I expect it to be pretty damn good.
Yeah, I don't see why it won't be.
I hope it's not a blowout. As funny as it would be to see Notre Dame get blown out again, I don't want to see it happen. I'm hoping for a good game, and it seems like it's been a trend, particularly this year, back towards more power football, and that's what That's what the Big Ten's known for. So it just, yeah, I don't know. It all kind of makes sense. And then on the NFL side, the Texans are really kind of the only team without a real intriguing storyline. LA, you got the Fires, and then to make that storyline, you got the Bills and the Lions, who've never won it. The Chiefs going for the three-peat. Philly with Saquon and the almost record year. A lot of storylines, except for, Houston. CJ Stroud, kind of. There's not much there.
Not to knock it. Like,
no, it just talking facts here. As far as intriguing storylines, the Texans are kind of the least intriguing. And but should they upset the three-peat chance? Now we're talking.
I'd love to see that.
I would too. And should they do it, you're like, all right, well, you beat the Chiefs, and the Chiefs have only been winning by one score, it seems like. So, if they beat the Chiefs, then you really got a narrative there. But as of right now, they're just a pretty good team in the playoffs. So, all right, we'll see how that goes. Anything interesting on the baseball front that happened?
Not that I've heard. Nothing new baseball wise, but
I saw that the Sasaki dude from Japan was meeting with the Dodgers today. So
I swear to God, it's just going to be the Japanese national team.
For real, dude.
That's not a bad thing unless you don't root for the Dodgers, and then it is a bad thing because then we're going to look at like a Dodgers. Dodgers and the Chiefs are like probably going to be the two worst, most hated teams in all of sports because
it's like
winning.
It's the Japanese national team plus just everybody else's old MVPs.
Yeah,
it's
insane.
Yeah, they're.
I don't. He doesn't go with the Dodgers. I don't see why he wouldn't, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, I won't be surprised if he does, but it'll just be like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
How much more do you need? Just being greedy at this point.
Yeah.
Now that was the only thing I saw that was, that just in the last couple of days, anyways. I know there was a bunch of moves earlier, but like the Mets haven't done shit since they signed Soto, though, huh?
No, not really. And I don't know if they can afford to do shit, or if they just don't feel like it's necessary. They already had a pretty solid roster. I wouldn't go as far to say as like a great roster, but they had a service.
It was good enough.
Yeah. So.
But they haven't signed Pete Alonso yet, so that's
yeah, it's like kind of looking, potentially like what's going on, what's going to happen there.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of interesting. If you spend the money on Soto, you'd think you'd be prepared to bring back Alonso and make a push, but
need Alonso if you have Soto is the question that they're probably trying to decide, is if Alonso creates enough of a benefit that he's worth the money.
So his big I guess criticism was his defense, but his defense has improved pretty significantly over the last couple of years. So
yeah, and I mean, we're not asking him to be like a Dexter Fowler, right? We're not
first base,
the best defense,
we're just looking for a guy who can play just above average.
It pains me to say, as a former first baseman, it turns out that you can teach a lot of guys to play first base.
Yeah, I mean, look at Bryce Harper. Harper got taught how to play first.
Didn't he win a Gold Glove?
Yeah,
come close to it.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a freak baseball player too. So there's that, but also that's kind of a position that, well, once you're washed up in the outfield, well, we'll move you to first base and see what you can do there, and if not, we'll just move you to DH. Rockies haven't done shit.
No,
as
they won't.
Always.
And
no, they won't. The Royals picked up somebody, didn't they? Somebody pretty notable.
Lorenzen?
Is that it?
Yeah, Michael Lorenzen. We brought in a pitcher to kind of fill out the roster. I don't know. I think we had a kind of a middle of the road, and so does ESPN.
Yeah.
But, there's definitely things that I think we could have done better, but there's also things that other teams certainly did worse.
Right. Well, and then it's at the end of the day, it's the Royals, and they're a smaller market club, and they blew their wad with Bobby Witt, so now they gotta manage around that. But I mean, you can't argue with that move. Bobby Witt's a stud, and
absolutely is.
It seems like he really likes it in KC. KC loves him. So I mean, if you're gonna pay for a guy, you pay for a guy like that.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's any other like that is like their Todd Helton. That's their homegrown guy.
Well, he's Alex Gordon.
Yeah.
Salvi, something like that.
To be there, let him be here.
No, it was a good move, but like you said, when you spend big as a smaller market team, you gotta cut corners elsewhere or find deals. And but the Royals are they kind of have a knack for that. So unlike the Rockies, who seems like they always have pretty decent talent, in on the batting side of things, but just terrible managed team. Then you've been watching any hockey or anything?
Not really.
I've not followed it a bit.
I know the Avs are kind of playing above what we expected of them, but we also expect them to be good. So it says they're playing well enough. I know that Jonathan Toews has had like 2 game-winning goals in like the past week, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah. They got to get over the hump in the playoffs, though.
Well, I mean, we still, we pretty recently have been to the playoffs, the postseason, and won.
Yeah. But the last 2 times they got bounced, didn't they?
Yeah. I don't think we've won since 22, which isn't bad. I mean, we've had recent playoff success. It's just, there is like an expectation that we have as fans to be doing a little bit better than we are.
Yeah, well, we got spoiled when they came over. They won the 2 Stanley Cups.
Yeah,
and then there was they had a good stretch in there, and then there was some pretty low times there for a minute. But now I don't know, Denver. You get used to, you win a couple championships, and then you expect greatness, and then turns out it's pretty tough to win all the time.
Yeah, consistency is not an easy feat.
No, and then it was so weird that like the Nuggets were like the premier team in Denver for a while. I mean, it still kind of are.
I mean, the Nuggets and the Avs. I mean, we've had some really solid, performances, that have been surprising. At least I wasn't going to, pick the Avs to be this, win all team, but they've kind of shown that they can match, this at least some level. And then the Nuggets being one of the best teams in basketball consistently, that they are the team to beat.
Yeah, they're
the team to beat. Good things happen, and there's nothing else, to say about it.
Well, it turns out if you can find one of the best players in the world from Serbia that doesn't really want to be there, it seems like
it's literally a job to him.
So I hear there's a lot of those guys out there. You just got to find them.
Yeah.
Freaking the Joker. I can't help but just love that guy. He just he just seems bored playing basketball. But just casually one of the best players out there.
Yeah, one of the best players in the NBA.
Just casually.
By far.
Just casually. He'd just rather be back home in Serbia with his horses, though.
Oh, I can get behind that.
I know
that one.
It's not a passion for him. It's just a job that he happens to be really fucking good at.
Yeah, he's like, well, I guess I'm here.
Yeah,
might as well get paid for it, even though it's not my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So if we win the championship, that's good, but it means I gotta stay over here longer. I guess whatever.
Yeah, if you say so. I think.
No, let me go put up a triple double.
Yeah.
Fucking guy.
Yeah, I don't know. So the only two teams to have multiple players with triple doubles in the same game are the 2022 Nuggets in the playoffs and the 2024 Nuggets.
That's funny.
Jamal Murray and Nick and Jokic, and it's Russ Westbrook and Jokic.
It was like Ricky Henderson died here the other day, but there was a meme going around, and it was I think it was like 1988 season. It was like steals by team. It was like the Indians led it with 135, and then it was like 121 and 118, and then there was Ricky Henderson by himself with 148. So he had more steals by himself than any other team in the league combined or collectively.
Oh, I believe that. I mean, that's a very much Ricky Henderson stat.
Yeah, and then he also hit 300 with 20 home runs every year too. Guy was an animal. But yeah, like you don't. That's one of those stats where, just that by himself, he had more steals than any other team did in the league that year.
Yeah, that's an impressive feat.
Yeah,
it's like when your guys got more rushing scores. Like Ashton Jennings had 31 rushing touchdowns this year. There were teams that didn't have 31 rushing scores as a team.
Oh, I know. It was the same way like when LT broke the rushing record against the Broncos. But he had 28 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Or something like that. By himself. And that was when they ran the ball all the time, and still teams that didn't have that.
Impressive. Yeah.
Crazy. Well, I'm looking forward to an excellent weekend of football, and this is it, last one for college, and then a couple more weeks of NFL, and then we're gonna have to find something to talk about until baseball starts.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not thrilled about no football. It's my least favorite time of year.
Yeah, me too.
I'm hoping that I somehow come into a windfall of money and I can afford to go skiing all the time, go Jackson Hole and Grand Teton and all this, but maybe to fill my time before baseball starts.
Yeah.
My folks had dinner with my cousin the other night, and they said that they've got about like a month and a half before they head down to Arizona.
Nice.
I'm excited. I think it's Arizona for spring training, right?
For the Royals,
Yeah.
pretty sure, yeah. Pretty much everybody west of the Mississippi's in Arizona, and then east of the Mississippi's in Florida. I think that's kind of how it goes, but yeah. So yeah, pitchers and catchers. Yeah, pitchers and catchers report in February.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're getting close, but it's always a dark time in sports after the Super Bowl. Because yeah, I mean, unless you're really big into hockey or basketball, and I'm not. So
I mean, I like basketball well enough. Hockey's fun.
I do too.
Enough.
I just don't.
I like hockey for the violence, and I've been told that I shouldn't do that. But
fuck those pansies. It's America.
I like. That's why I like it. So
we're gonna watch that novelty Canadian game for the violence, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, people are like, you shouldn't want it like violent. Like, that's not why I want to watch this. There's people in Utah, the Mormons are complaining that the Utah Hockey Club is too violent because there was a fight that broke out, and they have to switch teams. They're supporting him. There's no other team in hockey. There's not a nice little team.
Well, and it's funny because
be mean.
You got the perfect storm of just people who want niceness. You got Mormons and California liberals, so they don't want any of the violence.
No violence.
But that's the only reason people show up for hockey.
Yeah.
They can say it's for the strategy and the camaraderie. No, it's for the violence, and we all know it, and that's why we like it. That's why we accept it. It's the only good thing to come out of Canada, except for a couple of buddies of mine.
Yeah, there's a couple other good things to come out of Canada, like Letterkenny and
Letterkenny's good. All right, fair enough.
Shoresy, those are two good things.
Those are good. Those are good. Those are solid. Fair enough. There's a few other good things.
Oh, Trailer Park Boys. Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is good.
And
Mike Myers. Mike Myers is
Wolverine. Technically, is canonically supposed to be Canadian, even though he's played by an Aussie.
Well,
there's some good things.
I'll take your word on that. I don't know comic book stuff at all. So
I think I only know because Ryan Reynolds mentioned it, like in the last Deadpool movie.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. I heard it was awesome though.
It was good. It was fun. I like Chris, whatever his name is, got blown up. That was cool to watch.
Nice. I'll have to check it out.
He was he's Captain America, whatever his name is.
Hemsworth.
No, other Chris. Right? It's Chris something, right?
I
don't know. America. This is why we love Google. Oh, there's a new Captain America movie out this year. That's interesting. I did not know that. Chris Evans. Okay. Yeah, but it was also way back in the day Johnny Storm from the Fantastic Four.
That's right.
That's who he was in this movie.
Huh.
It's pretty cool.
Interesting. Well, good to know. Wrap it up on a little comic book talk because why not? Why the fuck not? But have fun watching some football. Take all of our betting picks with a grain of salt, but as always, I like my picks this week. We'll see how it goes. That didn't go very well this last week, but we'll see. So, on that note, move your ass. We're burning daylight.